Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tabletop Bob. My
I'm
name
the
is
only one
Bob.
dancing. Everyone else is all sad and unhappy. It was like, oh man, it's the end of Tomb of Horrors, and the Tomb of Horrors was horrible.
So why are you dancing then?
Because Dash is alive and Dash is going on.
Ha
Ha!
I knew it was coming. Thank you, CJ, for that lovely introduction. The tomb was horrible, but you all are here. You're survivors, all of you. Even if your characters died, you're all survivors of the Tomb of Horrors. And welcome everybody to the channel. My name is Bob. I'll be your dungeon master or host for this after the final roll. If you're unfamiliar, if you're like, wait, what is this after the final roll? Well, my wife and I, I shouldn't say we love. We watch The Bachelor, and we watch it forever. I don't know why, to be honest with you. It's the silliest show, but we watch it, and they do a thing after the end of The Bachelor where they get all the people back together, all the ex girlfriends, boyfriends of the Bachelor or Bachelorette, to just rag on that person. And I think it's a great concept to get you all back and rag on me. So we're going to talk about this wonderful campaign that we played. It was a short campaign, 15 episodes, but it is supposed to be a one-shot. So there's that. And we're going to talk about everything. Secrets will be revealed. Finally, we'll get to know what exactly Agatha had in her cauldron.
What's inside the green devil mouth?
Yes.
What's inside the green devil mouth? Yes, we'll find out all of the questions. And then also, I have a ton of questions, actually. Some of the Patreon members gave me some questions, so I'm definitely going to prioritize some of their questions for the stream. I've got a couple of questions from the chats, from comments, things like that. Discord, actually, some people reached out to me as well. So I got a lot of questions to ask some of you, and we'll figure it all out when we get there, the Q&A section. But before we do anything, let's just introduce ourselves. We've got CJ, Chris, Nate, and Estelle. And tell us who you were playing at the end, as well as throughout the entire campaign, because some of you had multiple characters. Why don't we start with CJ?
Hi, I am CJ. I was playing Dash Thunderforge. Ha ha! At the end of the campaign, where I defeated the evil lich Sararak. Ha ha! And took the victory lap to Perseverance, where I grabbed Rose and did the whole Marine in after World War II and just gave her a big old smooch.
Oh, okay. Yes, the famous picture of the sailor.
Famous photo of the sailor after World War II on VE Day.
I had no idea what you were talking about for a minute.
You know what I was going to,
I knew what he was going for.
I did that. I was like, I got him. Ha ha! And I also
hate
played
Dash Thunderforge.
I
actually
Dash
think
became a favorite with that move with Maverick.
it did. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Dash
my rivals, Maverick and Catherine.
I love that. I think the catchphrase is just unbeatable. So simple, so to the point.
CJ has a way with catchphrases. He had a bunch of them already in the channel. So
I just want them to be on shirts.
we're gonna have to get a shirt, CJ. My wife, I told her I actually have an idea for a shirt. I'm gonna gift all of you, but it's like the holiday season, so her Etsy is it's very busy. Yeah, very busy.
But I also played Grix the Goblin. He was there at the beginning. Turned into a slime a little bit there, and he was really trying very hard to make it to the end. Make sure that everyone got through the dungeon as safely and as carefully as possible. But, he made a little bit of a mistake and didn't, take his own advice and kind of tried a little bit too much and did the wrong thing. And he ended up a little bit dead.
It was actually kind of poetic that he was pretty slimy of a character, I'll be honest with you, right? In the beginning, especially.
And he's a little bit mad. He's up there in whatever, Goblin Heaven he's in, watching down at Dash Thunderforge.
You were about to say Dash Rendar.
Yeah, I was about to say Dash. He's watching Dash Thunderforge kiss his girl, and he's a little upset.
Rose, yeah.
He's gonna come back and haunt them.
Though Rose is not with Dash Thunderforge. Let's just we'll get to the recap in a second, but they're not together, okay? They are not together. Chris, why don't you?
Woman and that sailor were not either. So
okay, well, fair enough. Chris, tell us who you're playing.
Well, in the end, I was playing the force that defeated the evil lich by going inside its brain and destroying it from the inside. It was me who allowed the rest of you to get in those final blows through my valiant sacrifice.
That is true, actually. You are very true. That's, the Lich took a turn to kill you, therefore leaving opportunities for the others. It's true.
So yes, Zur, the war priest of Rylena. Yes.
You played the war priest and the whole religious aspect, I think, perfectly. And very fond memories of Zur talking to Rylena, wheeling and woeing throughout this
Yes.
throughout this game. But anyway, let's jump on down to Estelle.
I'm Estelle. I played Agatha, the crone, and then elevated to Baba.
Yes.
I had to look up what her voice sounded like at the beginning.
Yes.
I had to look at some of the old videos. Like, it's like, hello, pretty.
Yes.
This is Agatha, the crone. And then I became Papa Aga. And this voice really threw me off first session. It gave me such a bad sore throat afterwards, but then it acclimated. But I think Agatha was, the winner of this gauntlet here.
Yep, you were the only surviving character, the only true surviving character from start to finish that made it through the whole thing. We'll talk more about that as well when we get to the recap. But we have one last person here. We got Nate.
Oh, hey. I played Frank, the halfling seer, at the end. Kind of, I guess kind of just happened to be along with this group. I think I was the first to die. So, I made a character that was pretty amenable, pretty agreeable to, the group, and ended up being one of the couple survivors there at the end. I think he learned a lot from his teammates.
Yes, you did. But you also
started
played.
out as,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I started out as
Selfishness.
yeah, the kind of western, gruff, sunny, the demon knight dwarf, and follower of Typhurius, who was stacked and had great stats.
It was a shame we never got to see Sunny see her potential, but
poor decision making, right?
We got to fight what, one rat or something?
You fought.
We had to fight in the bottom of the church.
You fought the zombies in the church, and then you fought.
I think that was the only fight Sunny was in. Because I was waiting to use my demon possession. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then I just never did. Yeah.
Well,
Demon Knight's a really cool class. I didn't show it off well, but it's pretty cool.
Well, Nate, I think even though because it was such an early departure, it was like episode 3 or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
When Sunny left, I think you were not necessarily scrambling. You had ideas, but you weren't really solid on who Frank really was at the beginning. And then when we talk about character development, I want to hear your thoughts on having to quickly come up with the character and kind of figure it out as you go. A lot of us kind of had an idea once we made that session 0, got to think about our character, really I think invested in those characters. And then obviously Frank died, Grix died, and then at the end Zur died. But almost all of I think almost all of you, I feel like, really embodied all the characters. I guess Sunny didn't have the time to really do it, but almost everybody else, I think, really embodied every character that they played. And I want to say, it was a fantastic piece of role-playing from all of you. From my perspective, seeing you all, you did a fantastic job with the role-play, with handling all the challenges of this crazy dungeon as to throw at you. So I take my hat off to you. Great job. Now, let's jump into some of the... I guess I like to start with the ending with these things. I like to start right at the end. It's 2 weeks. We've got a couple of weeks removed from this, but I want to talk about that ending. So obviously we had Agatha and Frank, were the long-standing heroes that made it. Dash, you were with us for I think 3 or 4 episodes, and then you made it. What's going on in your mind as we get to, and Zur, obviously you were there the whole time as well. What's going through your mind when you realize that it's, well, the skull is the demi-lich and you're fighting it, and as that combat progressed, how hard it was to actually kill the creature? What were your thoughts on the final combat, that last episode? And it doesn't matter who starts, anybody really.
I was a little worried that I wouldn't actually be able to damage it, so I figured, how do I help everyone else? The witch class isn't really big on damage. So my original idea with the demi-lich wasn't to turn into a giant octopus, in case anyone didn't know that.
What?
I did not have a rhyme prepared for that. But my original plan, because I thought we'd be in a much bigger room, is I'd fly above it and turn into a mammoth.
It's funny you said that, because I think somebody in that last episode joked, like, what if it's a 10 by 10 room? Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
I forget who said it.
Somebody
Joked. Yeah.
I think, because we were talking about her becoming like a T-Rex, right? And I was like, yeah, watch it be in a closet or something.
That's what you said it, I think. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
It was funny because it's literally in a tiny little room. It's like,
It
I
is.
I think it's 15 feet long or 20 feet long and 10 feet wide.
It's not a very diverse room for combat.
No,
and it
I
kept
think that's
being
the
like
point of it.
above us. It was not coming down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I will talk about the mechanics of it in a sec, but I tried to stay as like kind of true to the original D&D while making it, work in the Shadowdark world. There are so many specific qualifications that an attack needs to have to do damage to the Lich. So when you started off, and I think somebody did a spell and it had no effect, I think, most of you, especially the spellcasters, were worried. And Agatha, you did a great job of turning into an octopus, being like a bridge to the land characters to get up there. And
that also helped me stay alive longer.
Yeah.
I had mixed feelings about the setting for that final battle. Just I kind of, on the one hand, I appreciate it when a fight has like some interesting like things going on with the setting. Whether it's kind of different heights or different things to avoid. A volcano is erupting or like something to make the fight a little like interesting. And I guess he was above the ground. So on the one hand, I kind of wish it had a little bit more going on, a little bit more space, a little bit more. But then I kind of thought about it and also realized, I mean, who would ever expect the final battle to be it? Like it feels like it matches the Tomb of Horrors,
Subverting your expectations.
Yeah, like you walk into that, you're like, all right, I found a little treasure hoard. There's probably a trap here, but it's not going to be the final battle,
right?
So I kind of liked, on the one hand, it was definitely a surprise.
Good. Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I like when there's something like terrain-wise or something that
there we go,
you interact with the environment, and there really isn't many here. The only thing that I told you is that, like somebody said, some of the ways to kill it would be to hit it with like a gemstone, and there were tons of gemstones in here. But for every gemstone of, I think it's 10,000 gold pieces that you hit it with, it does 1 hit point of damage. I guess we could talk about that as well, but I want to get CJ and Chris's your opinions of the final battle here with the Serac.
So I don't know if anyone's read the book Ready Player One.
I have not, but
You
I know
have.
that it's featured in the book.
Yeah, so in the beginning of Ready Player One, it's highly featured at the beginning of the book, and in the book, a Serac challenges the main character to a game of the arcade game Joust, and I was very upset that didn't happen. I was like, I thought that's how it works. He just challenges you to the arcade game Joust, and then you beat him.
Would you like to play
a
game?
I was thinking that it was gonna be like a bigger room, like you get in and he's standing there like, you've made it this far, and like also because the cover shows a Serac as like a full humanoid creature, right? Like it's at least in the
So
Tomb
there
of
are-
Horrors thing that you showed us.
So you mean like the the thumbnail,
the main,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can. It was in the beginning intro. It was in the intro. I know it's on Roll20, but I don't have it up. The introduction video on all of our videos. It shows that. Yeah, the green cover. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has like the Lich getting like hit, and you're like we had that moment of like the Lich getting destroyed and being fully up, and like you're like, oh, but no, he's like a skull demi-Lich thing, and like
This is the original cover, actually. So the one that's up is, I think, the reprint, or the one that came out when it was published as a module, and this was like the official art. Something, I might be reversing it, but this is so it is still, again, an Acererak, a Lich version of Acererak, or the fake Lich, right? Because we did fight a fake Lich earlier in the game. I think it was episode 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that is all on purpose, CJ. It's done to sort of throw off the players. Yeah, you have one expectation that you're going to be fighting this, and then in reality, it's just that skull at the end. And I don't know the history of the Demi-Lich, but I know like in 5e D&D, there's a stat block for a Demi-Lich. I don't know if this is like the first time a Demi-Lich was introduced into the game or not. If you're a D&D historian, please let us know in the chat or in the comments down below. But I feel like not a lot of people would have known that, especially in like 1980, whatever this came out, 82 or something. So I feel like that's got to be a part of it, the deception,
And especially because we also, on the channel, went and fought another Lich, a very powerful Lich character, and he was a full-sized, Lich creature that we fought. I'd say his name, but we're not supposed to.
Yes, can't say his name. Right.
Can't say his name. He who shall remain nameless.
He's talking about Vecna.
Ooh, he said the name.
We did that one shot, and he's an actual Lich. You're right. Then Acererak is a Demi-Lich. So.
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know where they are in the D&D tiers, but I think Vecna's below Acererak?
I don't know. I mean, I think they both would like to think they're better than the other.
Yeah, but I think there is like a hierarchy there where like Vecna was Acererak's apprentice.
Oh, get out of here.
Or the other way around. I think it's that. I think Vecna was Acererak's apprentice.
Oh, okay, interesting. Heritage 367 in the chat says he believes Acererak is the original Demi-Lich. So that could be telling there. All right, and let's go to Chris. Chris, your final thoughts on the finale.
Yeah, we were kind of joking before we went live with that episode, because we've all played these old school Gary Gygax D&D modules, and I'd never played the Tomb of Horrors, but I know how they kind of roll. Where, like, from playing like Dragon Mountain years ago, where you finally get to the end, and in the dragon's hoard is a dragon slaying sword, and we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
So my plan was to get into that room, find the treasure hoard, and grab whichever sword was laying in it and use it against him.
That was what
I was gonna do, guarantee. And yes, there it was. I'm like, a +4 defender. I'm like, So I wasn't all that surprised that it was there, but and it didn't do me any good because I died the next round. But so it was kind of funny to see that happen. That kind of our pre-game metagaming conversation lead into what actually happened, and a lot of fun to see that kind of go down and Zur.
Yeah,
I wasn't happy with the way Zur went. It was hard to not show my disappointment.
I know,
but that's the way the game goes, and Zur was going to put a hurt on him with that sword for sure. So that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Yeah, and you and CJ, we had mentioned, I think at some point, it was a couple episodes ago, we talked about deaths on the channel and stuff like that. And you and CJ had never had a death recorded on the channel, so both of you get your first here on this in this campaign.
Well, yeah, I was really happy to have made it to the very end without dying, because what I did know about this particular adventure is that it's just stupid deadly. So I played incredibly what's the word? Passive. Passive. Defensive, sir. And so I did when there was combat. I ran right in. There was no, but in the rest of the encounters, which was most of the module, I wasn't a whole lot of use. And I played
you had your Wheel or Woe,
which was useless.
Yeah.
It was all woe.
It was all whoa. But the commune spell came out. That was pretty useful, and that kind of
it was
tilted the balance in our favor towards the end.
Your healing and bless were
top notch.
They were both kind of game breaking.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have a segment on the luck tokens in a while, but we can talk about Wheel or Woe. We can talk about Wheel or Woe. So just my insight, we'll go to like some of the DM side things here. So first off, Acererak. I tried to keep a lot of the original. I have the original D&D module here, so I'm trying to blend this into Shadowdark. So some of the things I tried to keep, some of the things I had to modify. They don't do AC the same way. They don't do attack bonuses the same way. They don't do any of that stuff, right? It's different than Shadowdark. In this game, Acererak just picks somebody in the original D&D module. He picks a character, and he traps their soul. There's no save. There's no roll to hit.
Hate that.
It's just when he and it says here specifically, he can tell which party member is the most powerful. Straight up. He just knows which is the most powerful. He usually, though, will select a magic user over a fighter over a cleric, and a cleric over a thief. So that's like his hierarchy if it's roughly even to him. So he knew who was the most powerful right away. Obviously, it was Cornelius. I'm just kidding.
He went for Cornelius first.
He went for Cornelius first.
Cornelius had it coming when he was just like, "I forgive you, Agatha."
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
What? He had it coming after he forgave you?
I didn't ask for forgiveness.
Great. Cornelius, what a guy. So there are only a few things that can hurt him. So I'm just going to go through the list of things that can hurt him, and I'll tell you how I converted to Shadowdark. So first off, if you cast something that was like a turn on, so he's immune to like regular turn dead, but there was one here, Exercise spell, which is not in D&D anymore, and it's definitely not in Shadowdark. But there was like a thing about undead. There was anything that would be like affecting the undead wouldn't hurt him, but it would cause him to sink down to the ground so you could hit him. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of important, right? Dispel Evil also does 5 damage to him. Now there's no Dispel Evil either. But I would say something like Dispel Magic or something like that. I would have taken any sort of thing like that shuts off a power to do 5 HP to him. He has 50 HP in total, by the way. Holy Word, which again, there is none in Shadowdark. I don't even know if there's one in D&D 5e, but Holy Word does 20 HP. It's the biggest damage dealer. But I would have accepted like if there was like some sort of divine intervention spell, if it was targeted at him, I would have counted that as a 20. A couple other ones here. Shatter. There is no Shatter in Shadowdark, so I needed to think of what could be. So I thought about it. The Lightning Bolt spell, as well as Nate's, what's Frank's, what's it called?
Thunder?
Yes, Cardis' Thunder. So obviously Cardis is our god from the story, the setting. But yes, the Thor's Thunder or something, right?
Yes.
From the...
Yeah, that's what
so
it is.
that spell is basically like, and that's a 4th level spell. That's not a little spell. That's a 4th level spell. So I figured I would let that count as Shatter because it's like thunder, right? Loud noises, basically, right? So that was 10 hit points every time you hit him with that. And the final one here is if a ethereal or astral character casts Power Word Kill on him, it would destroy him. That would be it. So there's very few things. And then the gemstones, if you plunk them with 10,000 gemstones, you could kill him. So those are the only ways to kill him. So I went through this list, and I was thinking of ways. I looked through the spell list over and over again. I kept thinking about what I could possibly translate or make, and I had my ideas set, and we went into combat. Now, in terms of physical attacks, only a +4 weapon basically can hurt him. There are some other specific ones that are held by a ranger, held by a paladin, all that nonsense. But basically, my idea was a +4 weapon could hurt him. And then you just do your damage like normal. So that was everything. And I think you did a great job once you figured out he doesn't die to normal things, trying different things. And Estelle, like I said, being an octopus, letting the fighters get up there. I think the critical miss on Zer's part, and you wouldn't know this, Chris, but since there's no to hit roll or you just pick somebody, you cast a spell to buff yourself. I think the round you
I
could have
cast
hit him.
Protect from Evil, which I thought was going to save me for at least a round.
Yeah, and that was the downfall because you could have taken that opportunity to attack, and it would have done pretty decent amount of damage. Now, if he has 50, I don't know you would have done 50, but
I would have done like 15 points to him or so.
Yeah, but that would have helped tremendously. And CJ, when you hit with the sword, how much did you did a ton of damage,
I did
right?
a ton because I had that rage amulet that I was saving for like some big bad.
It doubled your damage or something, right?
Yeah. I think it
That was
doubled my
key.
Oh,
damage.
yeah.
Yeah,
I had
did you
to
do
go
like
to the defense.
14 and it went to 28 or
I
something?
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Frank with the 2 lightning bolts, and that's all she wrote for a Sararak. Estelle and Zur, you didn't end up doing damage, but like we said, you ended up taking a round, from him attacking, and Estelle, you gave that little platform for people to get up there. So I think it was a full team effort, and all the NPCs gave their lives to see your success.
Didn't
We are
Morgana
terrible
live?
people.
Morgana lived, but I don't really consider her to be a true NPC. She's actually in the book. She's a siren, and she is in that cave, and a Sararak has put her there, and she legitimately has no idea how she got there. In fact, it even says in the book that if they ask questions about the tomb, she actually doesn't know, and she's never left that little cave ever since she was imprisoned there. So she does not know. She doesn't even know how long she's been there. So that's legit from the book. Now, let's jump over to some other ideas
Grix
here.
had her all wrong.
You had her all wrong, right? I know. It's all about subverting those expectations. Really.
Yeah.
You would assume she was going to kill you.
I assumed she was
something. You assumed
worse
something.
than her- Yeah.
Well, Zur managed to get her to promise her soul to Rylena, so victory right there.
Yeah, when she did that, I kind of figured she wasn't really a threat if she's promising her soul like that.
Yeah. She was ready. She didn't know any better, honestly, to be fair with you.
so Sir totally took advantage of the naive. Isn't that how cultists actually work anyway?
Isn't that what Zur always did?
Yeah.
Exactly.
How we got Cornelius to be
yes. I groomed him.
So you did. Let's actually talk about the NPCs for a minute because they were a big part of this
boy.
game. I do have to give a shout out. One of the Patreons at the tier 3, that's the one where we get to talk. We do like a weekly chat. I have a couple people I chat with, and doesn't always have to produce some sort of material for the game, but like if there's something I need or something you suggest, I try to fit it into games. Vegas Paladin, shout out to Vegas Paladin, helped me out with quite a bit of this stuff actually. I was talking about this was months and months and months ago, talking about how I wanted to run this on the channel, really wanted to get it going, and he was all about it and said, I love that campaign. Had some ideas. The idea about the plague and that being something that draws you in to try to save people, although we realized you're all horrible people and didn't really matter. But, the idea of the heroes being drawn.
I think that's Shadowdark doesn't allow you to be good.
That's not true.
I remember at the very beginning, Bob was like, "Yeah, you guys are kind of heroic." We're like,
It's like, don't make evil characters.
I didn't say don't. I just said, like, if you make good characters, it'll be better for the motivation. But,
yeah.
listen, you were self-motivated, so didn't matter.
I think I've always, played like whenever I do a playthrough of a video game, I play like the right, like make the nice decision and do all the right things.
Yeah.
So I was kind of struggling to like always agree with some of the screw the NPC decision.
It was.
But by the end, it was a blast. I think I learned the ways.
Well,
True indoctrination here.
yeah. Well, yeah, look, the
Yes.
NPCs are a big part of this game. Old school D&D always talked about like retainers and hirelings, and that was like kind of part of the game because your characters were more fragile. So you'd want a bigger party and throw characters, NPCs out there, and like honestly, like the way Chris played, even in Keep on the Borderlands, right? Trying to get hirelings, trying to get Zeb and then Mohag and all those characters to just be there, right? Because if they're going first, bad things will happen to them and not the characters.
Yeah. If someone's got to die, it might as well be an NPC.
Exactly. So my one of the questions from Vegas Paladin, and I did a poll at the end of the last stream, was who is your favorite NPC? And so I'm going to keep it strictly to the ones that were the main NPCs. I did the poll just like that as well, and that would be obviously Maverick, Catherine, Cornelius, and Thorvald. Each of them, he kind of gave me like the inspiration for them. I think they were all, if I'm not mistaken, characters that he has either played. I know Cornelius was like his first character, and then the others were ones that either were part of the game that he had played, or maybe he had made as NPCs himself. So, thoughts on all of them and your favorites. Cornelius and Maverick, by the way, tied at 37%.
We are so sorry we killed all of your characters.
But that's great. You got all these NPCs from a Patreon guy. I love that.
Yeah, that's the tier 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
make better
that's
characters in the
fantastic.
future.
Did
though.
we just all key in on just killing the newbie, on bullying the newbie then?
Yes, you did. So I think, and I don't want to misspeak, but if Vegas Paladin's watching, if you chime in or even in the comments, I believe the story is that Cornelius was his first character in Keep on the Borderlands. Died like right away in like the Kobold Cave, fell into that pit, and just that was it. We had 1 hit point and died, and that was his whole first character. And again, if I'm misquoting you, please let us know. Correct me down below. But I think that's what we've had this conversation for. Pretty sure that's what it was. So Cornelius was definitely going to be in here, and definitely had 1 hit point to start this game. So,
Definitely.
I love that.
Great.
so yeah,
That's great.
favorite NPCs, and once we talk about them as well, you can give me some other characters or creatures that you encountered. What did you like?
I mean, I'd say I liked Cornelius.
You like Rose.
I liked Rose, but that wasn't on the list. I liked Cornelius. I liked Maverick and Catherine were like, I wanted to like them, but I also did not want to like them.
Maverick and Catherine was the nicest NPC ever.
Catherine was, I really
So
wanted
cool.
to like her. Like any other campaign, I would be like, oh, Catherine, you're the best. You're like a healer and you're here to help us. And I'm so happy like you're here. But she was hanging out with Maverick.
I thought Catherine was great because it like I got the idea to allow her to kind of bring out Zer's insecurities. That was like a character development moment, and where Zer just felt like he had to constantly one up her and outdo her as the priest, and it was kind of fun to try to match her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she also seemed to put Frank into a lot of like situations
Yeah,
to
she
be a
did.
lead. She was a big developer of character.
hmm
She was starting to grow on me.
Like one of your fungus boils.
It's just she was starting to grow on me right when I lost her.
Until you left her to die.
I didn't leave her to die. That's just
Pancake.
it.
All right, so real quick question here. Let's say you were not turned into a bat, because that was the most ridiculous thing I've heard. You talked about that all campaign long, and you finally roll a 1 when you need to save an NPC. Would you have saved her
Yeah.
had you not turned? Oh, you would. Okay.
No, because your dice rolling thing had me really nervous, and I needed somebody who could take a few hits and actually damage things and to keep alive
Mm-hmm.
to face things for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the witch class, not a heavy hitter.
No.
Like it's more to sort of not even like good at enhancing things. Even it's
Good for
definitely
roleplay.
utility.
Sure.
So I needed someone else to do the hard stuff.
And it
So
worked.
I would not have left her to die.
Okay. Good. So you would have kept her alive, but fate had it the other way. You turned into a bat, and you could not pick her up, and she died to the
decided.
juggernaut.
That was really just...
Yeah, and this is why I love that we roll live. Like we're not rolling at our table. And not that I wouldn't believe you or think you're lying. It just is almost better that everyone sees it in the moment when it happened.
Right.
It's just there, and it's instantaneous. No doubt, it's just there. And we saw it, and I can't believe that it actually happened still to this day.
The one time there were consequences.
Yep. Yep. And then what about the rest of you? Chris, I feel like I know who your favorite was. Go ahead.
Well. Again, Agatha, I liked her for what she allowed me to do as a character, playing the game. That was fun. But Cornelius was my favorite. I kind of from the very beginning, I had this little bond with my friend Cornelius. Zur kind of looked at him as like a son almost, the son he's never had, and tried to like bring him into the fold and keep him alive, and to teach him.
That's what you wanted from day one?
Keep him alive.
There's a very, very bad man.
Wait.
All
What
right?
do you mean you try to keep him alive? I was the one that kept talking about her keeping her flashlight alive. Everyone wanted to push him into things.
So what Zur really wanted from the very beginning was one person to soak up a death. That's all he cared about. but no.
He grew on him.
It's okay.
Yes, like one of Agatha's warts.
Grix was trying to get him to eat up that death as soon as possible.
Yes, you were all trying to get him to eat up that
He
death.
was our only light source.
That's right. He was your light source. And Nate, what about you?
I think I got a soft spot for Thorvald. I mean, they were all great NPCs, but I showed up with Thorvald, and he was the only NPC that seemed to like have it out for us and had his own selfish ways until the end. And I don't know what happened to Thorvald to make him turn exactly the way he did, but I kind of liked both Thorvalds. They were fun.
So one of the things was that we were talking about, me and Vegas Paladin, was that he had an amulet that like not only just made him he was very hairy, right? Like it was like a bear, right? Like he was very hairy.
Yeah.
So that was like an amulet that like made him like a barbarian, basically. It made him into like a higher constitution because of it. It's kind of like an amulet of health, that sort of thing. But it was a cursed item. Downside was that it made him kind of like a jerk, selfish, and short-tempered, but he was tough. And when he lost it, I wanted him to be kind of the opposite of that. And so I made him more of like a more meek when he got rid of it, right? But then I think his downfall actually was going for that pendant instead of like trying to fight at the end. And he was sucked up into Acererak's. Once he picked up the sword, he was sucked into
Didn't he
Acererak's
manage to land a hit with the sword as well?
He did, and I think it only did a few like 6 or 7 points of damage, something like that.
Every little bit.
Every little bit, yeah.
I also loved that Agatha's curse on him was like, for the
Oh,
character he was at the time, was like
Gold, trying to get gold and wealth.
so
and,
funny.
It was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, a fear of treasure. Oh.
I'm so happy I wrote up that curse. Like, I was like, if you look back at the video, you can see me like I'm trying to write it like in between rounds.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I had to come up with that really quickly.
I did have a
I was
question.
like, there has to be an immediate consequence to this.
I did see a question from, let me see here, from Heritage 367. I was going to save for the end because it was on the chat tonight. But did you have any? Oh no, I'm sorry. I wrote it wrong. It's Greyhawk Exile. Did you have any unused rhymes? Did you save any?
I have. Hold up. I got this.
Oh, look at this.
Yep.
Gonna be a book published.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Agatha's
Yeah, no, because I
unwritten
had
rhyme.
rhymes for each of the spells.
Can you do a favor when we
Agatha's-
get to the questions section at the end? Can you pick like 1 or 2 and read them?
I actually got a longer one that I was not able to fit into anything.
Okay,
So-
I want to hear at least 1 or 2 of them at the end, and maybe at some point we'll slowly reveal them in the Discord or something like that. Okay,
Buy the book
awesome.
On Amazon.
Yeah,
Get it for Kindle.
there you go.
It'll be
Agatha's Book of Poetry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Agatha's Book of Spells.
Papa Eggs. Let's talk about the background of this game. So, obviously, this was something that kind of I created a setting around, right? This is obviously a one-shot. This thing has been published over and over again. It's in like every edition of D&D. You know, it's in the Yawning Portal book, which I did use for reference, but I never actually used it for mechanics. I found that like actually the old school D&D worked better mechanically with Shadowdark, so I used that most of the time. But I did create the world around it. And our first 3 episodes were kind of like our introduction to this setting. They obviously didn't feature the tomb. It was the town of Perseverance. All that stuff I kind of cooked up in my in my head, and had to find a reason to make this a campaign, not just you start at the tomb, right? I wanted it to be something that made a difference story-wise. And I also did it that way because I wanted to have a slew of characters that could just keep rotating in, right? If all these heroes were called to the place, then there's going to be constantly people traveling there to figure out the problem, right? So if you died, which it seemed like we had a few deaths, you can come back in. And with those NPCs that, you know, me and Vegas Paladin created, it was just naturally like I paired you up with them. I think, Nate, when you first died, Sunny died, I texted you, I said, if your character was going to the tomb for one of these 3 things.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like wealth, treasure, whatever, glory, or to conquer evil or whatever. I gave you 3 options. Whoever you chose was going to be your partner. So you picked wealth, so I chose Thorvald. But if you picked glory, it would have been Maverick. And if you picked to defeat evil, it would have been Catherine. So you kind of chose Thorvald in a way.
Oh, all right. It was
That's
fate.
pretty cool. Fate.
And then I was like, everybody's going to die and then come back with a new character and have a new NPC friend. And it only ended up happening really once, because I think when we were introduced to Dash, it was kind of at the end, and you already met the NPCs. So, But anyway, that was my thoughts on it. Thoughts on this little story that was woven in. Terrible, right?
I appreciate it. I appreciate that it was like there was something more to it than just like, hey, there's a tomb. I mean, yeah, because that was old school D&D at its heart. Was just like, there's a tomb, just go run in there and kick open doors and kill things, and then come out and then go back in whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
For the next session. So this kind of gave it a little bit more to the like reason for it. And I liked how you wove in that like it's a extra planar dungeon almost that like exists outside of time, and this corruption, while it affects Perseverance will now transfer to somewhere else in the world, or multiverse if it is that.
Exactly. It kind of just it shows up every so often to test heroes, and it's Sarak's basically big FU to heroes. So
yeah. And I like that you kind of wove that into the story, and because it's kind of like Curse of Strahd on the channel now. Don't forget to stop by and watch. But when we played that, you kind of do that same thing where, you know, sure, you defeated Strahd now, but
right,
or maybe you defeated Strahd. I don't know. Spoilers. I don't want to say anything about.
I feel like Strahd it's the spoilers are it's out. It's like knowing Darth Vader is Luke's father. You know, it's
if
out.
you defeat Strahd, he might, you know, come back. He's never really quite dead.
Right, he's eternal,
but for a different reason.
Yeah,
it makes the tomb like one of those. What are they called? Domains of horror.
Dread, dread.
Domains of dread.
Yeah, and your characters all developed, I think, much better. I think because there was something to tie it to rather than just we're here. Let's talk about your character arcs. I want to start with Zur, because I know Zur, you had, I think, a very strong, like even keel throughout the entire thing, but by the end, there was some soft spots. You definitely were feeling the party dynamic. You trusted your friends, and like you said, you even wanted the best for them.
Yeah, I think that kind of maybe that relates to who I am as a person, but like with our last campaign with Hieronymus, how he kind of had this very huge kind of arc,
Mhm.
and and Zur kind of had the same thing in a much more selfish way. But I was just thinking about this, how this is my first time playing with CJ and Estelle, and how we kind of gelled as a party, like our characters and our personalities just kind of squeezed in together, and it made this a really fun little game to play. Just especially like I think that like Zur and Agatha had a little connection, probably just out of fear for his own life, but still, like, it was fun to play that little connection that we had going on throughout the campaign, where Zur was like taking care of the kitty, and but yeah, a lot of great little subtle things kind of happened in this kind of a short campaign compared to some of the other ones we played. Get us being able to play and allow our characters to grow a bit was a lot of fun.
It really was.
Can I change my vote from favorite PC to pretty? favorite NPC to pretty?
Absolutely, yeah.
Bob plays a really good cat. It's like he went to acting school to play a cat.
I feel like I sometimes hit or miss with animals, but familiars I feel like I do a good job with. What I tend to think of when I play an animal, especially familiars, are a little different. They're really not animals, right? They're like basically magical spirits. But with an animal, I try to make an animal as dumb as the animals are. I have a really dumb dog, and I know how dumb they can be, and a really smart cat. So I know my cat is actually a black cat. I think we've talked about this before. CJ has a black cat now, but well, you have a bunch of animals, CJ.
I have a bunch of animals. I have 3 cats. But...
3 cats. So and a dog.
And a dog.
Out of curiosity, do they all get along?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right, because it's not just my cat and my dog that don't get along. Okay,
No,
good.
They get along like cats and dogs.
There you go. But yeah, so like I know how I feel like I really do. I kind of thought about how my cat would be. Like my cat's personality is kind of like what I made pretty. So she's just horrible, and
Very
she fit great with Agatha, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Pretty. Pretty was.
Yeah, she was great. We're going to talk about Agatha in a minute, so I'm going to come back to you. I want to talk about Agatha at the end. Let's go over to CJ. CJ, obviously, you had the Tale of Two characters.
Tale of 2 characters.
I loved both of them. Could you? It's like picking your favorite pet. I mean, you really don't have one, right?
Yeah, I really don't have a favorite one for this campaign because they were both so awful, and they were both just really meant to be bad people. Because one is a goblin, obviously that's not gonna work out well for people. He's a goblin who's,
is from the Bronx or from Brooklyn or wherever, somewhere in New York. And he really just wanted to, smoke a cigar and leave everyone and have everyone leave him alone. But it's you go into this kind of situation and you got these people over here that have never been in kind of a dungeon situation, even though you're like really experienced at this kind of thing, and you just feel like, what is this guy thinking? He's gonna stick his head in that green thing, that green mouth, and you just kind of want to see someone do it, but at the same time, you're like, don't do that. Don't do things like, pull levers that you don't know what it's attached to, and.
But you told me to.
I mean, yeah, but I pulled my lever too, but it's like.
Greg said a way about telling you to do things and then blaming you for the outcome.
Why would you do that?
I think the best bit was you were trying to convince me to do something chaotic, and then you just reframed it to something lawful for me to do it.
It would be, you have to do it.
And obviously, Grix met his demise. Hold on, wait. I'll talk about Grix's death for a second. So Grix died when you yanked the tapestry, right?
The tapestry.
Why did you yank the tapestry? That's a question that was asked.
We got to the part of the tomb where I didn't know what was going to happen next.
And so you just were like, I'm gonna go crazy now.
I was like, I feel like I really did. I really thought that like things were safe in that room. For some reason, I thought that things were safe, like were as safe as they looked. Like the tapestry was just a tapestry. I thought, like, if there's a trap in that room, it was those chests, and like the other things in the room were trapped.
Maybe the tapestries were like the key to figuring it out or something.
Yeah, the tapestries were. I mean, I found the secret door behind the tapestry when I pulled it down. So I was like, these tapestries are the thing that we need to get past. They're probably fine. It's those chests that are supposed to tempt you. But again, how the tomb subverts all of your expectations. The tapestry was the trap and the chests were fine.
I was kind of wondering if you're getting impatient in that room. Like you just wanted to get to the next room or something. Because I didn't know what was going on with you at that point. Because you're usually you're acting like I was at the beginning of the tomb.
Yeah.
Erratic. And I did kind of do you a little dirty because, I mean, you are supposed to die instantly. And I kind of gave you a shred of hope. Like, I was like, all right, he's turning and his skin is burning. And you were like, I can't get it off. I'll throw him in the cauldron, and we'll try to recall him.
We were trying to save him too, though. Like we were trying.
Yeah, unfortunately, it says like legit instantly you die. That's it. So,
I hate wars.
Yeah, I know.
So, is it then any way pulling it down other than saying the word yank?
No, it said the word yank. If a person were to, I think, rip, tear, or yank. Those are the three conditions.
So if I were to pull, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yanking was the problem.
It said the word yank, and you used the word yank. I couldn't give you the benefit of the doubt there.
No, I absolutely could not. I wouldn't give it either.
But let's
yanked
talk
on that thing, and that's what happened.
You yanked on it, and you suffered the consequences. But Dash was a interesting second character. So tell us your thoughts on his arc. Or none that really had.
The non-arc of Dash was, I think I don't know if I've said this on the channel, but I've in the stream before, but we've talked about it afterwards and how coming into the party as it was at that point where we had all decided that we are not good people and we do not like Maverick or Catherine. And I had to come up with a character. I wanted them to be a heroic hero who's there to champion and defeat evil, but they could not be Catherine with her like, oh, I'm here to help you. I want to cure your wounds and save you. And here's hit points. And I didn't want them to be Maverick, who's like, I'm a gruff, here for hardened, I'm a hardened adventurer who's got my demon dog, and we're gonna slay evil. No, he had to be the hero who's here, to save everyone.
And I love that. I love that you were like, you threw me for a loop. You were like, oh, Catherine, we meet again. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what are you talking about?
That's great. I wanted because we were in this realm of like. Maverick and Catherine are not getting along with the party, so I needed to immediately come in with the backstory of like, I already don't get along with those characters from some previous experience with them. Like I didn't have the time to develop a dislike for Maverick. I had to throw that in the backstory.
You had to hate him from the beginning.
From the very beginning and be like, you guys are my rivals. We're here to compete for this treasure.
That's great.
But the best part is that we didn't hate them.
I was gonna say
we only hated them because they were everything good that we were not.
Yeah.
I don't think Frank hated them at all.
Zer hated them.
I know. Frank just wasn't going to stand up to the rest of you guys. He was like, nah, all right.
At that point, Agatha found Catherine kind of annoying, but Maverick was hot.
Yes. Yes.
I love how you maintained that even after you became a man. That was
Yeah,
even
that was
better.
great.
It was so creepy and weird for poor Maverick. He's like,
Maverick, I think he liked Morgana.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Zer was picking up on that and was going to have to step in.
Oh boy.
If Zer didn't step in, Agatha was going to.
You
So
guys,
Bob, you don't know that there was a nuclear bomb just waiting to go off, which didn't go off, but
thank
it was
God.
about to.
thank God.
Oh, oh my god, that's what made Bash my favorite.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That KO of Maverick was to not even, it's not even just that you killed him, CJ. It's because I was counting down. And usually when I count down, everybody's like, I drop it or I run away or do whatever, you know. You were like, I throw it to Maverick at 2 seconds left.
He
And
wanted it.
Oh
He
my
said, "What? You're afraid of
heart.
some? You're afraid of a gem you're picking up?" And I was like, "You have it
then
here."
you were exactly the 1 square away from the spot that would have also killed you.
Yep.
You were 5
Sheer
feet further than
luck.
you, exactly the distance you needed to be for that thing not to blow up and kill you as well.
man.
So, fantastic. Let's go down to Nate. Nate, you had 2 characters. Obviously, Sunny was, like I said, we really see Sunny's potential, and we talked about how you wanted to use her cool powers and stuff like that. But let's talk about Sunny's death for a minute.
Yeah.
Now, you went through.
please.
You went through on your own accord. Nobody convinced you to do this. You went through the archway. That's at the beginning of the tomb. Why?
Yeah, so actually, I think Estelle brought it up just a couple moments ago. I think the Tomb of Horrors, it tests your patience. Like you gotta take it slow and allow your NPCs to die, and like it kind of forces you to be a little evil if you want to survive,
Ooh,
and it
I like
forces
that.
you to like take your time. And to be honest, I was like, I want to see something happen. I was like, it was the curiosity and the impatience.
Yeah.
And I also assumed we're all going to be re-rolling a character every 3 or 4 sessions. So I was like, yeah, I'll be first. Let's see what happens here.
Oh,
So your death, when you went through the portal, you were so you're actually transported somewhere. You get transported
Yeah.
into this little tiny room that has levers, and there are, I think, 3 levers. If you
Yes.
put all of them down,
which is
you
what I did.
die. If you put all of
Yes.
them up, you live,
die.
and if you put them in different positions, it does nothing. So it forces you to play around with it a little bit, and then once you do all up, you survive. It the roof opens, and I think it's the roof opens. Either that or it teleports you back. I forget which one it was, but one you saved. If you put them all up, you put them all down, you fell down. There were a couple of portals like that, actually. There were a couple of portals, and they all did different things. So the one that Agatha went through was the gender swap. If you go through the one that was in the archway of the spheres room, that one strips all of your gear, and it puts it at the end where a Sararak is. That's why Thorvald had his thing there. And it teleports you buck naked at the beginning of the tomb. So
Oh.
those are the 3 portals, the 3 archways. One of them puts you into that pit trap that you were in. The other's the naked one. The other's the gender swap. So
Okay, so
Yeah.
you could live going through any of them.
in theory, actually, you don't die going through any of them. In theory, you don't die at all.
Okay.
Yep.
So I just picked the wrong portal and the wrong
Combination.
levers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, it happens in the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonny was supposed to be kind of like your Western sheriff, like
Mm-hmm.
almost like begrudgingly put into, some heroic position.
and that made me sad because I envisioned some combats with Zer and Sunny kind of
Oh,
Mhm.
fighting
would've-
together.
they would have done great together.
We had a brilliant flash of that at the beginning.
Yeah,
Then we did not get a chance to fight again.
that was that's the only bummer about Tomb is you really could never get too attached to your character. Otherwise, well, I think we all did start to like our characters, and therefore we were like, yeah, we're gonna let the NPCs die. I think if you want to play a heroic character, you just got to be prepared to die multiple times, because
Yeah.
You can't really develop a character too much.
Yeah. It does. And, this is designed to be a one-shot. I know I said that at the beginning, but think about how fast you would have to go. Like, the reckless abandon you'd need to go through to get this done in like 3 hours. Like, it's
You have to show up with
legitimately-
5 character sheets at least.
Yeah.
All prepped.
Well, old school D&D characters took
And-
like 2 seconds to roll up. But still, yes, even with Shadowdark characters, like, if you run through this in 3 hours, you're just pulling stuff, going through things, trying everything, because you just got to get through it.
Yeah,
There's no way you're getting through it if you're actually trying to survive.
Yeah, like Nate said, you'd have to have 5 characters, and like each one would just have to learn from the last one, even though you wouldn't be able to play it as if like that character was the first time entering that tomb.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be like, okay, the last guy sent in there died going through that portal and flipping all the levers down. I'm gonna send the next guy in, and he's gonna flip all the levers up, and like
almost like a video game, right?
Yeah, you'd almost have to. Yeah, you could almost.
You'd
play
have
it
to
like a video
meta,
game.
I think, to beat that. Yeah,
And that's actually
exactly.
why I didn't want this to be almost like a test simulation. Like, I didn't want it to be like, all right, you're at the tomb, go. I wanted it to have a story so that we cared about these characters. And I think we did by the end of it. Like you said, everybody loved their characters. Frank, speaking of a beloved character, he had his moments at the end. I think he was one of the saviors of the group.
Yeah, small but I think the Seer is a very
Badger.
powerful. I think the Seer was really fun. They're really powerful magic casters, and I think I was trying to, use all the weapons in my arsenal there. And I think with Frank, I kind of didn't want to get too attached when I first brought him in. I was like, I'm just going to be friends with this group. He's going to be nice to everyone they meet. And I was like, man, Frank is constantly feeling like like you were all like, man, we're happy to like kill off Maverick. And Frank's like, I mean, I guess. Like, I don't like that or not, but.
That's great.
Like,
He sounds like the kid most susceptible to peer pressure.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I guess we're committing a murder now. Okay.
And I actually ended up talking to Bob, like with a few sessions ago. Like, I just feel like I haven't really developed much with him. And Bob was like, "You've probably learned enough from these other people." And Chris also had some good advice for me. And I just was like, "All right, yeah, Frank's gonna steer into the skid and just try to
Steer into the skid.
yeah." It's free driving advice for anybody here.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a little
yeah.
conversation. Nate and I chatted one night after the stream, and we were talking about that. And he was saying that his character, he felt like Frank was a little, like, I don't know what the word would be, but like just kind of
Bland.
yeah, like stale,
think
flat, right? Like
yeah.
it wasn't progressing. And definitely, I think you started after that conversation, though, just putting Frank out there, trying to be more in the, I don't know, I wouldn't say leader spot or anything like that, but you were there. You were going out first, scouting.
I think
You were
less
doing
in the
things.
background.
Yes,
was the
exactly.
goal.
Catherine actually, I think, helped you quite a bit.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Frank liked Catherine.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear she got pancaked.
Yeah.
But
You know,
Yeah,
you mentioned those conversations after the stream, and like I'm laying in
Nice.
bed. Like we've had several of those. Like I like these kind of like we're having these moral dilemmas with our character. Like us personally, us as human beings are like, is that okay? Did we do? Were we okay? So we've had several of those conversations.
I was gonna
It's
say.
really endearing.
over the years, Chris and I have had a few now.
Yeah.
They're really helpful and kind of nice.
Right, but they help to kind of keep the compass kind of pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Frank was fun to play. Very kooky. Love that I took the Badgers as a magic item.
Yeah, the Badger was one of the highlight moments at the earlier stages when you killed the fake Acerak. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Destroyed him with that Badger.
Badgers
Can we
are
talk
great.
about those random magic items for a moment?
Sure.
Bag of Badgers is great, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
That really helped in Icewind Dale, Rhyme with the Frost Maiden on Tabletop Bob.
Oh, yeah, we did. You did have a bag
I had
of
a bag of tricks.
tricks. That's
And
what
there
it
was
was.
nice.
definitely a Badger that came out and did a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Badgers. Agatha. We got to talk about Agatha.
Gotta talk about Agatha.
The one character from start to finish that made it through. Tell us.
Yeah, Estelle, the only character you played this whole time.
Tell us.
I mean, Chris
Um,
also only played Sarah.
True.
I thought. Wait, is Nate? Are you all done?
Oh yeah, I'm
okay,
good.
I gotta make sure. Okay.
Unless, yeah.
Okay. I didn't think Agatha would live this long. I thought I was gonna, have a bunch of characters and I just go through the names through the alphabet, starting with A.
Oh, you went from Aga
Eddie.
to Baba.
I don't know if she had much of an arc other than turning into a man.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
Not true.
Okay.
I think like I touched on this a few minutes ago, where like she developed friendship, like real friendship, and
Yes.
codependency more maybe, but she developed a relationship.
Yes. I imagine in her background, she didn't have too many friends.
Yeah.
No, and I think she was definitely attached to the group. She was very much saddened by Sunny's death the entire time.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I definitely think it's
we-
in character for Agatha after they use that one wish spell to be like, Sunny! No, I forgot something.
We had a great little thing going at first.
But she also got very, very attached to Frank as well.
Yeah.
Sort of caught a little connection with Cornelius, like messing with him a lot, but also like trying to keep him alive. But the fact that he let go of her hand just kind of broke that trust completely.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So, one of the questions from Vegas Paladin, I was going to save it for the end, but you're talking about it right now. Was that a betrayal? Because you had that item in the beginning, correct?
Ooh.
What was the
Yeah.
item that you had? I forget. It was a cursed item.
It was like this like sort of like bone wand. It had like a celestial blessing on it, which is how I managed to fly in the last
Yes.
fight.
Mhm.
Also taught me the language celestial. Not that that ever came up. Had the Willow Man spell on it, and it was made me very paranoid, and 1 in 6 NPCs would betray me.
Yep. So for every NPC that we met, I rolled a d6. And I'm happy to inform you that no NPC betrayed you. Cornelius legitimately did not know what was going to happen to him going through that portal. And he was relatively, meek character. And at the last minute, he said, I can't do this. And he went and he stayed. And he felt bad about it.
That's what really gets me is I kept trying to stop him from getting killed by everyone else.
Yeah.
And then the one time, and I'm leading into this.
Right.
He's like, nah.
Well, to be honest, he's young. I think, what did we say he was? He was like a 18-year-old or like a young kid.
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was doing when he was going out there. Thought he was going to be a wizard and made some bad decisions. But he did not in his heart betray you.
I like the fact that the rest of the party bullied him through the portal.
Yes. That was great.
Yeah.
You won major points with Agatha.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we let him, back out on something that he had, promised to do?
Yep.
Breaking his word. That's not the
True.
adventurer's way.
Well, he learned his lesson.
That is
that's
not
for
the
sure.
way of Arlena.
No.
He learned his lesson
It was not heroic.
very hard way. And I think that was also my best rhyme.
It was great. It was
Yes.
so good. You role played Agatha like this has been your character for years. Like, I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was seamless from the start. You were like, I have this idea. I'm going with it. And she evolved. She became new, like not even just a gender swap. Like, she was evolving as every game. It was like more layers to her. The rhymes, everything you did so good with this character.
I love doing the rhymes. I know I didn't do it for every spell. I try to do it for every spell, but sometimes I forgot.
Can you give us one
What?
right now? Can you give us a rhyme you haven't used?
I hear. Trying to remember how to do her voice. I've been pop out too long. I hear the kids find it cool So eat your veggies and toadstool.
Oh, that was your wart, right? Or no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Those were great, by the way.
Yeah, they were.
I got extras there. I also made several rhymes for several of the animals I could turn into. Not that it ever came up, but
Right, you were like, when am I going to turn into an octopus? Forget this one.
Nothing rhymes
exactly
with
it. I
octopus.
wrote it down and I'm just like, I'm not going to use that.
Any last words on Agatha, and then we'll jump to some of the other questions.
I think she was a lot of fun to play as, and I liked going back on some of the videos and watching your expressions of horror whenever I summoned Pretty back.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh god,
Uh-huh.
that
So well role played.
talk
Yeah.
about. Can you talk about that for a minute? Like, what was your inspiration for making Pretty's
Return.
return the most horrific thing
I've ever imagined in my life.
I mean, honestly, the leaping off point there was the toadstool with like pulling off warts. I'm like, okay, how do I make this worse?
Yeah.
I'm so glad
I
Pretty
know.
didn't die a third time because honestly, I don't know how I would summon her next.
Yeah.
You cut your head
'Cause,
off
like-
and the cat grows out of your neck.
Like, I tore out
And
my
your head
guts.
comes
I
up
had a
after
hair
it.
bowl of a cat
Oh,
coming out of my mouth.
That was the second one.
What's after that?
Chat says, Grey Exile, Agatha was awesome. The familiar resurrections will haunt me for years to come. So
Oh.
yeah,
Yes.
Well done.
Love it.
you're gonna be in people's nightmares for years to come. Isn't that
I'm
great?
so proud to be in people's nightmares for
There
years
you go.
to come.
You're in my nightmares now.
Because you're
Yeah,
like
should-
his kindergarten teacher or something like that, right?
Yes, yes. Miss
Should I
Keith.
say what like Agatha's planning to do after the tomb? Or
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so she's got the gemstone of Cornelius and of Zur.
Yes.
Um,
Oh God.
Cornelius she definitely keep as a pretty rock.
Oh God.
Maybe as on a necklace or maybe on the collar of Pretty. And for Zur, she tried to find a way to get him out.
Okay.
Maybe get him a new body or something. You know, she doesn't have a lot of friends, believe it or not.
No, get out of here.
So like the fact that like they had this good banter and she never really felt threatened by him.
Right.
Even
Zur
though I
went
think
out
you,
of his way to make her
I think
happy.
you
Yes.
threatened her a few times in the beginning there.
Did you?
Like-
I don't remember
Like
that.
not like more like don't keep that spell away from me kind of thing, but
Maybe until I became afraid of you. But
You'd bring him
after a
back,
couple
but
of-
you'd bring him back in Maverick's body.
Yeah, so so that brings up an interesting point. At the end, because you said you don't have many friends, but at the beginning, Agatha and Grix and Sunny and Zur were all like a
Friends.
friendly party together. And it definitely does not seem like at the end that like Frank and Agatha and Dash are gonna like be like, let's form a party together and keep doing this. Like they're all gonna be like, cool, see ya.
Frank.
Dash would live up to his name.
Yeah,
away from
Dash
Agatha.
is like Dash's like,
Frank's
cool,
definitely-
see ya. I got more adventuring to do. Ha ha! And then Agatha's like, I'm gonna go do stuff with these gems. And Frank's like, yeah.
Frank's like, I'm
Frank's afraid,
retiring. Frank's retiring.
Dash didn't see what she did to Cornelius. Frank got to watch the whole arc of that. Like,
Yeah.
if you betray Agatha,
Yeah.
Dash is just saying out.
so I think Frank's gonna happily be. I think Frank got like motherly vibes from Agatha. Or
I think
grandfather-
Frank's
She
gonna-
she
Weird.
maybe.
she had a soft
Frank's
spot
weird.
for Frank.
It's called Stockholm
He
Syndrome,
was-
Frank.
He didn't argue with her, and that's why she got endeared to Frank.
I can see
and
Frank
then
starting
Catherine
like,
came into the picture.
yeah, that's when she really started to like Frank, when she had somebody else to hate. There you go.
Yeah.
I think Frank will start like a bed and breakfast somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice
Yeah,
business,
that
or
sounds
local
good,
business.
where
Yeah.
Agatha can always stay for free.
There you go.
It's never gonna charge her.
Oh God.
Oh,
Well,
what a good boy!
oh, you guys were great. These characters were awesome. I'm happy how it ended in general. I think this was a great playthrough of this old school module. So let's turn the conversation a little bit now. Let's bring it over to Shadowdark. this was our first time on the channel playing a campaign in Shadowdark. We did the Wavestone Monolith, that one shot, and it was Jeff from Keep on the Borderlands and Chris and Nate. So Chris, CJ, and Estelle didn't have any experience playing this game before, and I want to say coerced all of you to play this game. I think you all wanted to play, but I definitely like signed you all on, and I was like, we're gonna play, and it was like months before we started. You know, I was trying to plan out the whole year and everything, so I told you a long time ago we're gonna play, and you were all agreed. Then I texted you all and was like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe playing this in Shadowdark instead of D&D. What are your thoughts? Here are 15 PDFs. Please read these all by Sunday and let me know your thoughts. So I apologize, but tell me your thoughts on Shadowdark and what it was like playing Shadowdark from basically being mostly D&D players for all these years. And how was it learning Shadowdark? Let's go to actually Chris and Nate, because you two played it beforehand, even though it was a one shot. What were your thoughts?
I on the one hand, I was certainly excited to experience Tomb of Horrors in a D&D setting. I think, and play Dungeons and Dragons. But I really liked Shadowdark. I liked that little one shot we did, well, two shot, I think.
Yeah.
And I can say now with definite confidence, I'm really glad we did Shadowdark. I think the idea, like, rolling up a new character is pleasant. It's easy. It's very straightforward. Even at super high levels. If I had to make a level 14 character like 3 times in 15 episodes, I would have been kind of like annoyed by the third one.
Yeah.
Not, I only died once, but I can see you dying at least 2 or 3 times in this. So I think it worked really well, actually, for a very deadly campaign. It's really, I also think it's really easy to I think it worked really well. I'm really happy with it. I love the system, and I thought it worked well.
Chris?
In our playthrough, our low-level playthrough, I wasn't a fan of Shadowdark because I didn't like the dynamic that failing to cast your spell would take away your ability to cast a spell. And from my previous role-playing experience, I didn't like the random chance of being unable to cast. So, but I think that the whole luck token element, we were on to that when we first played, and I think that the creator of Shadowdark worked the luck tokens in there. There's so many ways to get them within the different abilities of the characters that it's intended that we have luck tokens to be able to mitigate the damage of failing to cast spells and losing them.
Right.
So, which we did to a big extent in this.
Yeah. So we actually ended up using the pulp mode, which is like even Call of Cthulhu has this, where it's like your characters are more super powered than the typical character in the system. So, we did the unlimited luck token. You could get them as many as you want. I do think though that that is unnecessary. I think that it was a little too much of a crutch. And I know that some comments were saying the luck tokens seem to be pretty powerful. Like you said, there's already ways to get them, right? The Bless spell, Bards, as well as the Seer. Yep. There's ways to get them that I think you don't necessarily need to be unlimited. And I think that if we had done them unlimited, I don't know that we would have had that different of an experience.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it would have been, you would have all felt the dread, the existential dread a little bit more of not always having it in your back pocket. But I think it was really good to play Shadowdark because this module was so much easier to convert to Shadowdark than I think it would have been to, play the 5e version of this. This 5e version, and I know I'll get to Estelle and CJ in a second. This 5e version is, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's kind of bad. It's really bad. I've read through this before now, and
I don't want to say it's bad, but it's kind of bad.
It's really bad. It's really bad. Like, I played a lot of D&D, and I played D&D at all levels, and even like a high level campaign, this would be a joke for 14th level characters. Like an absolute joke. There's no save or die mechanics. Obviously, 5e doesn't have those. They're all saving throws, but they don't even make them save or like die. It's like or save and like really hurt. It's like save and like take 30 damage.
Yeah,
So
that's soft.
Yeah, it's really soft. It's like too easy. It's really, really easy. I think you could spend time with this and make this better for 5e. But I think it was easier to play this as Shadowdark. This converted so well. Like, I can't tell you how easy it was. I almost was able to just be like, oh yeah, that's the Shadowdark equivalent. It's there. It's either in the book or I'll just use the rules for this. Like, legitimately using the original rules for a mechanic, and it worked fine. I do highly recommend that anybody that plays Shadowdark, you can definitely do old school modules. Those first edition, second edition D&D games, you can absolutely do them in Shadowdark with minimal effort.
I just wanted to piggyback on Chris's comment quick, but
Sure.
so I agree. I think the allowing multiple luck tokens and everything and kind of unlimited was maybe a little too much. It took away some of the stress there. But I think actually the system of losing your spells would work really well in a campaign where you're not dungeon crawling. Like where you actually will have long rests. We had one long rest in 15 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. So like a lot of the mechanics like come back after a long rest. And so it would I think it would flow a lot better, allowing just one luck token per person and things like that. If you actually were long resting semi-periodically and like, you knew you had a dungeon coming up, so you might try to stock up for things, knowing how hard it is just to get through a dungeon with such limited resources.
And isn't that cool too? Like, you're like, oh, do we have enough torches? Like,
yeah. Oh, I love that.
Do we have enough of this? Yeah.
So I think it would work better in a lengthier campaign where you're actually having more periodic long rests.
Good points, really. Good points all around. So you two played it. You played low levels. You played high levels. Let's talk about CJ and Estelle. Your only experience with this game is playing the upper echelon. What about you two?
Yeah.
Estelle, you can go first.
You go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, you go.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I do think the statement with the long rest, like, the number of times I had to use luck tokens, I would have been really screwed if I didn't have the luck tokens. I would have lost several spells. And the higher level spells have some bad consequences. I also like having consequences though. It didn't come up, but like the whisper spell, if I failed that, one of my own memories would have been changed instead of my target. But
I know what memory I would have picked too. It would have been the Cornelius betrayal.
Oh.
Yeah. Right away. You'd have forgotten that. He'd have tried to save you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like with Pretty and the dog.
Oh God.
Quick side note there, Agatha is the worst thing that ever happened to any of these NPCs.
Yep.
But with the mechanics, like, I liked how like Frenchies it felt, I guess.
Excuse me, say that again? How?
I kind of liked how the mechanics felt kind of crunchy.
Oh, crunchy.
Like,
interesting.
Maybe not crunchy is the right word, but I've never played like old school D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Like I jumped in on 5e.
Yep.
But messed around with a few other systems, but I don't know.
Well, it definitely is a different
really
dynamic.
liked it.
It's like I wouldn't say it's the like complete opposite or like the foil to D&D.
Yeah.
But it is. It's so similar to D&D with the basic core mechanics that it feels unique because of the other things. And that's why I like this. Like, it was, I'm telling you, I play D&D all the time. I play with kids a lot, especially with camp and school, and Nate knows the same thing. It's brutal to try to explain how to make a character to a kid.
It is.
It's brutal to try to explain how to make a character to someone who's like, hey, I'd like to get into this game. How do I play? Well, you need all these different source books. And you're probably going to make a bad character because you don't know all the options. So your character's going to be not very good. And you need to do this and this, and you need to. Oh, don't worry, that's just your modifier. It's not your, your score. Score is higher, but your modifier. And yeah, your first level, but you can, you cast first level spells. But when you get to second level, you can only cast first level
More
spells.
first level.
And when you get to third level, you can cast second level spells. Yes, it's very confusing. So it's like this was so refreshing to try a game that you don't have to really worry about the rules so much.
Yeah, it was definitely more straightforward.
Yeah.
It was kind of difficult to figure out the role in the party with the spells though.
Yeah.
Because again, my major damage spell was Moonbeam, and
Mhm.
Never
I don't
worked.
like spamming the same
Right.
spell over and over again.
True. Yeah, no, and I think now though that you all played this and you've played high level characters and you kind of know a lot of the spells, you probably, if we started a real campaign and played from level 1, your characters would you would know a lot of the ins and outs of things. You'd already kind of know where to go. It's like anything, right? If we just played Shadowdark now, you would just know that system better, and you would get a better feel for it, know the spells. It would be second nature, just like D&D is to us, I think.
I think what I liked most about Shadowdark was that it kind of brought us back to the old days of the theater of the mind RPG, right? The map Roll20 was kind of secondary to the game, and we could have played most of this game without Roll20 whatsoever, if we had the ability to roll dice,
Yeah, because movements are all kind of generalized, and
Yeah.
I agree.
I wonder if that's also part of the tomb, though, the way the
Could
tomb
be.
is laid out.
Could be.
Because there aren't a lot of combats in the tomb. A lot of it is just like, what do you do in this room
True.
with a tapestry and 3 chests?
Yank on 'em.
Yank it.
What do you yank on the tapestries and leave the chests alone.
Here's a bunch of pillars.
Yeah,
And there's a light breeze.
Yeah, there's a bunch of colored orbs. What do you do with the
Yeah.
orbs?
I'm glad there wasn't a lot of combat. It's like a lot of fights in there.
Yeah.
I like Agatha a lot, but I don't think I would have had a lot of fun if it kept happening.
Yeah, it would have been a
Just
slog
by the
too.
nature of the
Yeah.
spells. It's like the class is not
Mhm.
Going to kill a lot of people, I guess, in it.
Fair enough.
That's-
No, you did some serious damage in the combat. So, remember the Puppet Master one in the beginning, and there was a lot of things where you
Yeah.
took people out of the fight. So,
Yeah.
But that's part of the problem though with the lower tier spells as well, as they only affect lower tier enemies.
you're right. Yes.
So that some of the spells ended up not being useful once inside the tomb.
We have
True.
to talk about that healing spell, that first level healing spell, the 5d6,
That was
Yeah.
insane.
a level
Yeah.
1 spell.
I'm
Well, I
like,
guess-
here's a toadstool, my second level spell, and you're just like, heal, heal, heal.
Yeah.
Here's 40 hit points.
Well, I guess the idea is though, if you were to lose that spell, I mean, you don't get it back, right? You don't get it back
Yeah.
until you
Till
get
a
it back.
long rest.
Well, there was no way I was never gonna not have at least 1 luck token.
Right, for that,
the ability
yeah. Mhm.
to cast bless, and that's
CJ, your thoughts as well? I know you're very experienced with D&D. You started
Yeah.
playing in 5e as well, though, right?
I started playing 5e. Again, I've said before that I had an interest in it from a long time ago, from I think 2nd edition, but never really picked it up as much. But yeah, I thought this was really fun. I only played my 2 characters were a bard and a human fighter. And I don't think I talked about this with Dash when I was talking about Dash himself, but I think when I was creating Dash on the stream, I was creating him with random rolls,
Yeah.
and I definitely rolled up the most boring character, which is another reason why I had to make him as interesting as possible. Is I rolled a boring character, which is human fighter, which is just how basic of a character can you make?
That sounds like a Joey character to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Joey
That's
would
kinda-
love like a boring human fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just because he's a basic bee. But yeah, so I rolled up a human fighter. There were some things about it, like again, well, I was looking at like the talents. You don't have like your progression is kind of randomized too
Yeah.
for your character, which I thought was interesting, but also could be like to a detriment.
Could be, yeah.
When I was rolling up Dash, you know, I got a bunch of 3s and 7s, so like my strength, dexterity, like my stats were going up, but like what I really wanted was like a to gain an additional weapon mastery, but that you need to roll a 2 on, and that's like so uncommon. Or like choosing a talent or 2 points to distribute, that's a 12 on the die, so like
Yeah.
it's harder
The
to
good
get.
ones
Like,
are really hard to get, yeah.
the good ones are hard to get.
It's definitely like
So
there's the contrast again of
there's-
D&D where it's like
yeah.
you kind of pick feats almost like you're at a restaurant picking out of a menu,
Yeah.
right? Like you get what you exactly want to tailor your character like. And I get that. You know, I think that you probably could very easily, I don't know, there are so many, I don't know if you know this, but there are so many people out there that have created third-party Shadowdark content. If you go to like the Shadowdark Discord or you go to the Facebook group, people post all the time, all their things there. And I think you could absolutely make more of those talents. You could make them customizable. You can maybe make it a point system and you just pick them. Like there's so many ways to do it. And I feel like because it's a new game, we tried to play it as by the book, right? But if you wanted to customize it at your table, you absolutely could, and it's so easy to do so.
And I'll say that my character also, neither of my characters, the bard had spell casting ability, but didn't have spells to
Yeah,
cast. They
I know,
could
it's weird.
use they could use
Yeah.
wands, but they and scrolls, but they couldn't just cast spells.
Yeah.
I needed to have a wand or a scroll, and the fighter didn't have any spells either, obviously, because fighters don't. But so I didn't have that worry of like I'm going to lose a thing, but not having a lot of fights in the until the end against
You
Acererak.
really
There
didn't do anything that was bardy at all.
Yeah, like it didn't feel.
You felt more like
The
a
bu-
rogue to me.
You
Yeah.
were a
honestly.
rogue, but
Yeah.
you were not a rogue. So
Yeah, it was a rogue who wasn't a rogue, and the fighter didn't really do much fighting in this campaign. So
But you did
those-
role played the hell out of him.
I roleplayed the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you do other than roll?
not a whole lot.
He did
really.
24 points to Acererak, and that was his big contribution.
That's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
big contribution was the 24. Yeah, one big hit on Acererak and telling
And pure-
everyone not to
Pure
climb
comedy
in-
gold.
Yeah.
not to climb in the green devil mouth, even though it would have been hilarious
Yeah.
to do so.
I
Let's
kind of
go-
wanted to shove Pretty through the green devil mouth.
Let's jump
Just
into
to
the
see what
Q&A.
happened.
Let's jump into the Q&A, but because we can answer that question. We can answer that question. Let's jump into the Q&A, but just to put a pin in the Shadowdark thing, I just want to say shout out to Kelsey, who is the creator of Shadowdark. She actually, in the Shadowdark Facebook group, at the beginning of this whole campaign, posted that our channel was doing this. Did not even know that. Was really thrilled to find that out. It was great. So thank you for the support. Also for at the end of it all, commenting on us, and she's been watching apparently. So thank you for joining in for our crazy games. Appreciate your support. And the Shadowdark community was great. They're so cool and they love this book. I cannot wait to get my official. I did the Kickstarter obviously way back when, and I'm getting the book. It's this. I don't know if any of you have heard about what's going on, but like there's delays with like the shipping and stuff like that, out of their
Oh.
control, of course.
I've
But
got so many books on back order.
okay, so it's
from
the same
Kickstarter.
everywhere, yeah. And we get updates, through the Kickstarter, and she's saying like it was supposed to come out, I guess, in October originally, but that was pushed back to November, and now it got pushed back again because the ship that's obviously you never know where it is, but it came into the port, and the books will be soon. December is the new date, but the community has dubbed it the Shadow Barge. And the memes of the Shadow Barge are all over on the Facebook. It's like pictures of the Titanic going down, and it's like the Shadow Barge caught somewhere, on an iceberg. It was like Rose and Jack on the piece of wood, and it's like I have to let you go because I got to get the Shadowdark books to America. So like all these things, it's great, and I'm so happy when I get this book. It's going right here, not on the cactus. It's going right here, right where Curse of Strahd is. I can't wait to have my physical copy. The PDFs were great. I love a book. So
Mhm.
I love Shadowdark. I want to play more of it. I don't know when we'll get it back on the channel. We've had a lot of people ask for more Shadowdark. We're not done yet, so we'll see. All right, now let's go to the last thing, the Q&A here. So I had a couple of questions. We answered some of them when they came up in the conversation, so some of them won't be that applicable. But I do want to talk about some of the questions from Patreon people as well as some of the chat. If you have any more questions, let us know, and we'll try to get to them. We'll spend the last few minutes doing this. So Vegas Paladin, I talked about him a lot, helped us out with the NPCs. Of all the characters, that includes you, NPCs, anybody, who suffered the worst fate? I'm going to start, and it was a Sarac. You all sucked. Just kidding. Go ahead.
It's either Catherine or Maverick, because
Really?
they both died not knowing that the other person died.
Mm.
They had
yeah.
they
I
had
think
no
they had click once.
they had no like
It was
resolution to their arc. Like
it was
as much as-
brutal.
as much as like it sucks that Grix died the way he did, it kind of is like a bit of an arc that like he was so cautious until that one time he wasn't.
Mm.
You know, like
Being
and,
turned into slime, though,
uh,
like your body decomposing and turning into slime is pretty horrible.
yeah, but like the reason he died was because he was uncautious. He wasn't cautious about pulling on the tarp. Like he was always telling people like, yeah, don't go through that thing. Like, don't touch that. You know, just be very careful. Make sure you check it for traps. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got this. And he just pulls the thing and it kills him. And like, you know, Maverick, you know, his dog just died like probably 20 minutes ago as far as like the actual game is concerned. And then he gets thrown a gem that he's like, haha, Dash, you fool. You afraid to pick up a gem? And then it just explodes in his hands. And he didn't learn anything other than that I'm with the wrong people.
Fair enough.
And then Catherine, who got separated from her best friend Maverick, falls unconscious and gets crushed when the person she was relying on to help her turned into a bat.
All right, so you're thinking it's Catherine or Maverick.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you guys?
Wait, can you ask the question one more time?
Of all the characters, NPCs, PCs, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who had suffered the worst fate?
So
Actually,
you said suffered the worst fate. All right.
No,
They might have had the most tragic deaths. I agree with that, CJ. But hands down, I mean, my number one pick is Cornelius. I don't think he ever did anything really wrong except be with the wrong people. And now he is trapped in a gem on Agatha's gem. Like, he went through the ringer and just got tortured. It was terrible. He's got to be my number one by far, with an honorable mention for the miners who suffered whatever that disease was.
True. Yes, the disease people were really not good.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
That would be my point.
Agatha, do you concur? Rose? Oh, God.
Rose.
Because never found her true love.
Her soulmate died in the tomb and turned into slime.
Yep.
She'll never know true love now that Grix is gone.
Agatha, do you agree with the Cornelius pick?
It's hard to choose because I kind of had a hand in all their suffering. Because with Cornelius, that's obvious.
Yeah.
With the curse and beating him up, and that him up, I forgive you, in the tomb, and then immediately getting pulled into a gem. And then now Agatha has that gem, which I think is really funny. Thorvald,
Poor guy.
who killed my cat, and then I cursed him to fear the thing he loves most.
Yep.
Catherine, for obvious reasons, was not intentional at all for her to have that happen, but it happened regardless. And with Maverick, Pretty got his dog killed, so that's also attached to Agatha. It's hard to pick. Yeah, I have so many options.
Well, you got to pick one.
I don't want to say Cornelius because I feel like
you don't want to give him that satisfaction.
The Agatha in me, but like
you want him to suffer more.
He's gonna have a terrible fate living in that gem.
Yeah,
for
it's
all
pretty
of
awful.
eternity.
Yeah, for all eternity.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think just if he just straight up died, it'd be one thing. But he's not quite dead yet.
Yeah.
Zer has a chance of coming back, but Cornelius really doesn't.
Chris, your thoughts on this? And why is it Zer? Go ahead.
First of all, there's something interesting to be said about the concept of Zer being indebted to Agatha if she revives him. There's like a whole dynamic there that would be very interesting to explore at a future date. But that is not my my thought process here. I'm thinking that poor Maverick, right? The poor guy. I mean, he was just very confident and very skilled. But when it hit the fan, he failed. His facade unraveled.
Yep.
Right? Zer had to save him.
Yep.
He had to run from certain death.
Yeah.
And Zer managed to save him then, only to have Dash explode him.
His great rival.
Right? So like poor Maverick, right? Falling apart, literally in game, falling apart, only to be exploded due to Dash's selfish self-preservation.
Yeah, and he lost his dog.
Yeah, and his poor.
Yeah.
How do you have a hellhound as a pet?
He's a badass.
No, obviously
Not
no.
enough.
He was.
Well, he didn't expect his allies to.
No.
No.
So Zer did try to give him the opportunity to also offer his soul to Rylena, which he rejected. But that's why he died.
Yep. That's it.
Had he given his soul to Rylena, he would have probably lived.
Well, it looks like all of you kind of advocated for at least one of the NPCs. None of your characters, though, you feel like suffered the worst fate. It was the NPCs, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're stuck with us.
We were just so terrible to all of them.
Sonny's death was quick, you know.
Yeah, Sonny's
100
death.
feet and died. You know, that's what it is.
The next question actually comes from, for you, Nate. Heritage 367 says, no, sorry, I keep saying Heritage. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, Nate as the Seer class. Yeah, what were your thoughts on the Seer class? It was from Heritage.
Oh, I think it's I didn't expect it to be as powerful as it is. I think it's an awesome class, and I think the spell list for the Seer class in particular, after I played a Priest before in the one shot, so I got to really get to know those spells. The Seer spells are awesome. Very varied. I mean, they're kind of a glass cannon, and pretty kooky.
That's what it kind of felt like. Like Frank did have pretty powerful spells, but he was, I mean, a couple of shots would have taken him out. Yeah.
I had an armor class of 10, and at level 9, my health was 28. So,
Oof.
Yeah.
And your rolls weren't terrible, right? What was it, a D4?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're not going to be strong, but I think it's a really fun class.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
A couple other questions. Do you have any questions as well? Players, do you have any questions for us? If you do.
Who thinks they know what was inside the Green Devil? Does everyone know what was in the Green Devil now?
I do, obviously.
Bob,
but...
tell us, please.
Did you want to do the honor, Cedric, or you want me to do it?
If I got sucked into, like, when I was being blown towards it and I managed to, like, wrap the rope around the column.
So you don't know, Chris. You don't know.
You don't know.
No.
I don't either.
Oh,
Do you guys
really?
want to know,
I don't
or are
know.
you guys like?
No, they should.
I
Tell
do.
us, man.
They should
Let it
know.
out. Let it out.
They played.
Ah.
So the Green Devil Mouth, the one that's pictured right here on the, it's been there the whole time, right in front of us. They're all over the place. Now, the one in the entranceway, right next to the portal that Sunny jumped through.
Yep.
The black mouth holds a sphere of annihilation. So if you touch it, anything that goes into it is immediately and instantly destroyed. It's
I
just
hate
gone.
this place.
So if you know,
That's not-
so basically what this is people would walk in, they would see the devil mouth, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's dark in there." Like even people with dark vision in D&D or in this game hold a torch up to it, the light doesn't penetrate. So you're like, "Must be a magical darkness. We must have to get through this to get to the other side." So you start walking in, and there's a lot of people out there that think like there's very specific ways to do this. Like people will talk about, because to role play it, to narrate it for the DM is kind of tricky, because what happens to somebody, you can't have somebody just crawl in, right? As soon as their head goes in, their brain is obliterated. So they just collapse right there on the floor. And then somebody pull them out and their head is missing. You know, you put your finger in there, you don't even feel it. It just doesn't exist anymore. You pull it out, your hand just is not there anymore. So there's no like blood really. Your hand just does not exist. It's gone. Everything you put into that thing goes away. So that's what that does. Now there is a little trick to this. In that room with the pillars where the breeze blows you to the corners, there are 2 devil mouths. They do not do the same thing. Those ones will transport you to the I forget now, to the treasure room, I think, to some other pit room or something like that. They do not kill you.
That's
I'm
just
certain of.
confusing now.
Yes.
See, I thought they were the same, so I didn't know about those.
It says they're 24 feet above the floor, and it's the green devil mosaic, right? It appears to be exactly the same as the first one you encountered at the entrance to the tomb. Any creature that goes into the jaw will be sucked in and teleported to be spat out nude from location 6, while all non-living matter goes to Acerak's tomb. It's similar to what happened to Thorvald.
Okay.
So you get spit out in the entranceway with no clothes and no
So
items.
If I put Pretty through the sphere of annihilation, could I resummon her, or does she just not exist?
No, you could, because I think what happens with it, well, I don't know what happens with familiar here, but it's basically like a spirit. So the spirit would just go back to its plane, I would think. Although, I guess I could be mean and just be like, yeah, the spirit's gone.
You'd get a different spirit, like you did in
No.
Oh,
No.
in our
a new cat named Ugly.
Not
what is it?
Trent Jr.
A new cat
Yeah.
named Ugly.
in our what is it?
The Tomb of Annihilation.
Tomb of Annihilation campaign.
That's funny.
Estelle's character had a familiar that
Is a steed, right?
yeah, and then all of a sudden it went away at one point, and it came back, and it was a different spirit named Creeb, and
Yeah.
it was like, what happened? Where did the other familiar spirit go? We still don't know.
Yeah.
So that has happened before. We've gotten a different familiar spirit back.
Yeah, I don't know how we would have played it, honestly. We could have done it that way. Could have get you pretty back. I don't know. Last question here that I have that's a set question is...
We were about to send Cornelius in there, though.
You were, yeah, and he was willing to go at the beginning.
Oh,
he
he's willing
trusted
to
you
go
all.
through that.
He trusted you all at that point.
He believed us.
Yeah. Last question here from Robbie Mack, who's another Patreon. We got a ridicule. He says, ridicule, wheel, or woe. So I'm just going to be honest with you here. I was actually nicer than I probably had to be with wheel or woe. I know it sounds like it's not. I could have been meaner because
you were awful.
Can
Wheeler
I-
Woe.
So
really-
hold on. Let me just explain one thing, and then I'll let you all ridicule me. Okay.
Okay.
Number one, this tomb by Acerak, basically, it could prevent your god from even communing with you. So it could have been Acerak giving you false information. However,
I hate this place.
However, I thought super literally about every single thing, and we misplayed it a little bit. It was supposed to be like a yes or no question, right?
Wheeler Woe, yes.
So
no,
I think
Wheeler Woe was
well, the
Like good fortune or bad
Action.
fortune.
yeah, it was
well,
like
pursuing this action.
yeah,
lead to
would
wheel, wasn't it?
right,
be
and I think
good or bad.
And I think we started off with it. The first few times we used it was like, should I do this or not? Will this cause
Yeah.
death or something? And so then I was
it took
more
some time to learn how to ask questions.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was kind of a mixture of all that. If you asked a question like that, I thought very hard to be like, would this kill you? Not necessarily. So I was like, could very much lead to death or not. but it's not going to kill you. So I was trying to be as literal as possible. I might have flubbed that a few times, especially with the reading of the rule afterwards. But your commune spell was much better.
Commune is yes or no answers.
That was the much better one. Yes.
And the Wheeler Woe thing, I was reading a book, R.A. Salvatore, one of the more recent ones, where like the group was trying to escape the Dark Elves and get back to the dwarves, and the augury member of the party cast Wheeler Woe and got Wheel trying to figure out if the group in front of them was good or bad. And I was like, that's a great use of that spell.
Yeah.
You know, it let them know that the ones ahead were not their enemies.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, how can we use that in this? We can't.
So yeah, I definitely flubbed the first few times, but I think it was us kind of like not really understanding the wording of the rule specifically.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Now go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
I just want to say, because you flubbed the first couple of times, I literally thought you didn't know what wheel and woe meant. And
Oh
you had them
no,
backwards.
I knew
thought
wheel
I
and woe.
thought you thought wheel was good,
Mm,
or wheel was bad and woe was good, because of the way you flubbed them.
that's funny. That's funny.
I was like, he doesn't know what those words mean. he thinks woe is good
And wheel is bad.
and wheel is bad.
Oh, look, people are wheeling and dealing. That's not good.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that'll lead to wheel. Yeah,
What's funny though, CJ, is you never asked me that.
I know.
You never asked me that.
I didn't want to like call you out in the middle of the stream. Like, you
funny.
don't know what those words mean, do you?
What's in Princess Bride? I do not think you know the true meaning of those words.
Think
Yeah.
you know what those words mean.
I
You know,
think it matched the flavor of the tomb though, to kind of get crappy.
Yeah.
Not so.
I'm chalking up to a Sarac. He has some interference.
He was-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sarah X interfered.
I think it matched the tomb well.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Alright.
Go ahead, Estelle. You one
Nah,
more.
it's just agreeing. I just thought it was a fun time every time it was pulled out as a spell.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
you know,
learned to
for
not
me,
listen to the answer, but just
Yeah.
enjoy the role play.
well, for me, it's I do prescribe to the idea that just like when teaching, right? You kind of just have to have this facade that like everything went according to plan, right? You kind of have to just be, yes, I anticipated that all the time. It makes people think that you know everything all the time. So
Take it
now that I've given
easy.
away my secret, you're all gonna not trust that I know what I'm doing. But yeah, you have to just I can't just be like, oh yeah, I messed that up all the time. So
I just thought you were trying to be like, I can't give away all the answers that easily.
no, because I don't think any of the answers were like that. It was like, should we open this door? Like I don't care about that stuff. But it's a fine line with these types of weird DM interaction spells. But anyway, I enjoyed every time you used Wheel or Woe. It was great. I don't have any other questions to talk about, but
I was gonna ask if we had gone back to Perseverance.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
if we had actually gone all the way back to the town once or twice during this, like, would anything
Yeah.
have happened? I remember there were families, and they were like,
Yeah.
there
Oh
was
yeah, there was some.
conflict between different groups.
I had anticipated that as being a possibility. I had put the little role-playing elements in there. Maybe you go and talk to people, make friends with them. But it kind of felt more like you should stay in the tomb as you went through it more.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's fine. It was a decision you all kind of made, and I tried to not persuade you to go one direction or another, but we stayed in the tomb. But I had the idea that you could go back there and yes, meet with some of the people, Rose and Gideon, the police officer or whatever, some of the priests and those people. They seem really manipulative. So we could have played with that a little more, and then also could have been a way for you to get rests and things like that. But it ended up just feeling more natural. I think all of us agreed to just
Yeah.
finish the tomb part.
I mean, especially
That's-
since the tomb kind of resets if we leave.
And that's
Yeah, that was
another
the
thing too.
question,
It
the
resets.
resetting.
Yeah.
But
So
like only certain things reset. Not everything resets. Is that in the book? Is that in the adventure? Or is it?
So it's not necessarily in the adventure, but there are in the beginning. I think it says something. I either watched a video. Sometimes things I get mixed up with what it was, but there was a video that I watched about the Tomb of Horrors many years ago, or maybe it was like at least a year ago, that talked about how even in the original cover, there's like a demon on it, and like the demons are like the custodians of the tomb. You can even see it right here. There's a demon right there. Yeah. A devil, demon, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so I had it so that I made a random table so that when there was like slow moments, I would roll, and you see me roll probably a few times. And if you got a random thing, I had one was a miner attack you, one was a demon custodian attack you, and the other was something else. I forget what it was. I had that all on a chart, and I'll maybe put that on Patreon or something. That's free, not to hide it. Just put it there so that you can all see what I had for my like little notes. I'll put that up there. But yeah, I had ideas for random encounters, and when you leave, the tomb resets. So you're going to be better at navigating it, but leaving is a consequence. Sarek wants you to fight him. He wants you to be there. So.
Yeah, so back to that, is wandering monsters a thing in the original tomb? Because like you're saying, you could roll. Was that a thing? Because that's another thing that was very old school D&D was the wandering monster.
That's a big thing in Shadowdark. So I added it because Shadowdark has it on every single adventure. Every single adventure had a wandering. It's basically a wandering monster chart, random encounter chart. There isn't one in this one, but no, there isn't. There isn't a wandering monster table here. No, but there's a ton about making NPCs. There's like charts and stuff like that about making random NPCs because they would assume that you'd try to get many of them. So actually, that wasn't even it. There was this chart right here. So it was like number of players you might have, options for how many, certain encounters, getting certain results and things. There was a lot about NPCs in the back, but. Yeah, so I loved everything about this. I think you played it the right way. I wouldn't have changed a thing about anything we did. So, all right. So I think we should wrap it up here. This is a great discussion. I want to thank all of you again for playing. I know, you spend a lot of time with me sometimes. And Chris, we were saying this might be the first time in 3 years that you aren't scheduled to be on the channel.
Bob, we gotta
Same
fix
here.
that.
Yeah.
Me and Chris.
Wow.
I can't have this.
I know.
These Wednesdays have become part of my life for 3 years.
I know.
Wow.
Don't worry,
It's
Chris
like
Estrada will be
10% of my life.
Chris Estrada will be done in about like 3 years, so you're good. We'll get you back real
we gotta
soon.
fix this, my friend.
We will. We'll get you back.
I mean, I think the viewers, the fans, the Patreons, you must demand it against the Giants.
Oh,
Hieronymus. Yes. You have the power, friends. Make this happen.
well, I do want to get the keep on the Borderlands reunion. That's going to be overdue for sure in 2024. We'll see what we can do. Greyhawk Exile, thank you for the super chat. Says contribution to the After Party Fund. Big thanks to all. Was an enjoyable adventure to watch. Always a big support of the channel, Greyhawk Exile. Thank you, and to all my Patreon members as well who support, and especially like I said, Vegas Paladin with our tier 3 chats, all that stuff. It's very very helpful to me, and I just love interacting with all of you. So please, send a comment. Make sure you like the video as well. I'll do CJ's job here. Subscribe if you haven't done so. I want to make sure that everyone gets to see our content. The channel's doing really well lately. I think a lot of people responding to the stuff we've been putting out. This group was awesome. Curse of Strahd's even better. So really happy to have you all on board.
Wow.
Okay.
Battle bird.
I'm offended.
Yeah.
Before signing off, do you want the last big rhyme that I did
yes.
that I was not able to get for the
Yes.
last battle?
I hope it rhymes with Bobby is the worst.
Yes. We'll get you.
Rhymes with
We'll
C
get
on
you.
the
We'll
table.
get you all back on the channel very soon.
Bobby
I'm
liver
certain.
worst.
Chris, you're always welcome here on the channel. So we'll get you back, and we'll probably leave it with Estelle's words, and then we'll see you on the tabletop.
All right, this was supposed to be for prior to the last battle, so yeah.
Let's hear it.
It seems our story is coming to an end. Quite a few lies we did upend. Into town we went into, in search of glory, gold, or something new. My friends so few became fewer still, new people in lieu, more blood to spill. Starting with Sunny so strong and brave, later was Grizz who was funny and depraved. At least we still have Zealot Zer, to death he would never surrender.
Surrender.
Relying on fickle goddess Rylena, who speaks plain only with a subpoena. Cursed was Thorable, whose absence was unnoticed overall. Cursed cowardly Cornelius too, whose happiness I eagerly withdrew. Frank was a lovely surprise, a strength in him his stature belies. And now we have Dash, who maybe acts a bit rash. I would say something of Catherine and Maverick, but I am a bit of a dick, and Morgana seems like a prick. And now we face the Lich of Horror, and I intend to be a big bother.
Yes.
Is that it? Bravo. We're going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that. Great job, Estelle. You get a luck token, all right?
Yeah.
Everyone, we'll see you soon. We'll see you on the tabletop. Have a great night. What a campaign. What a job, Estelle. Great job, all of you. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye,
See you,
friends.
folks.